How's it going, you guys? Cullen here, and today I'm going to be talking about the squat. So the squat is a lower body pushing movement that's going to primarily activate our quadriceps, but also is going to activate other muscles like our glute med, our glutes, our lower back a little bit. And in my opinion, in terms of total body musculature engaged, the squat is one of the best movements you can do. And it's also one of the most applicable movements you can do to daily life. We're always going to have to get up and down from our chair, pick stuff up and down off of the floor, or at least we should hope that we can pick stuff up off the floor, because once we lose that ability, then typically our quality of life goes down. So really good to work on this movement pattern, and I'll go over a couple of faults and then how to fix them. All right, the first fault you'll see is when people are squatting, getting in their squat stance here a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, the feet coming in. So what's happening here is we're losing our arch and we're not starting with a stable foot position. So a couple cues to work on this is you want to think about grabbing the ground with your big toe, driving your heel down, creating a big arch in that foot, and then squatting down and coming back up. In doing so, if you have a stable foot position, it's going to transfer up to the other joints, creating stability in those as well. However, if this doesn't work, and if you need to work on strengthening your arch position, here's a drill that you can do. Just grab onto a small band, take a seat, and you're going to position this right underneath the ball of your foot. You're going to get your foot in a straight position like such, small tension on the band. Try to grab that band with your big toe, or at least right underneath the ball of your foot, and drive your knee out like you would in a squat. Hold that for about 2 to 3 seconds, and then control and taking the tension off. If you do this enough, that should strengthen those muscles in your lower limb that help to keep your foot in a stable position, which will thus improve your squat. All right, another common fault that I'm going to talk about is the knees caving in fault. So if somebody's squatting and you're coming down, your knees are caving in, you're closing off at the hip, making yourself more prone for an injury at the lower back, and then eventually that leads to a lot of medial knee stress. So what you can do to fix this is strengthening the external rotators and abductors, this muscle on the side of our hip known as our glute med. So there's several different drills that you can do to strengthen this. If you have access to mini bands, clamshells are great. If you have access to a monster band, one of my personal favorites is called an X-band walk. So you just step on the band, about hip width apart, cross it over, and you get dual activation of your upper body as well. Get in your athletic stance, drive your hands apart, take a step out, and then a step back. Step out, and then a step back. If you have more space than me inside this garage, you can go out for reps and then come right back until that glute med is burning. You do this enough, it'll be strong enough, and you'll notice a difference in your ability to drive your knees apart in your squat. Another exercise to strengthen your glute med is going to be known as a clamshell. I'll attach a video into this article so you can see proper form for a clamshell. And one brief note on it, the biggest thing with your clamshells and getting them right to activate the right muscle is making sure your hips are rolled forward in that side lying position. So if you watch the video of the clamshell, which should be lower down in this article, you'll notice that I'm in a side lying position with my knees flexed up. If my hip rotates back, I'm going to activate a different muscle in the front, which isn't the one I want to activate. I want to activate the one in the back. So imagine as if a straight line went down through the top of my hip. I'd want that to go through my bottom hip as well. I wouldn't want my hips to be rotated out. So that's just a quick tip for executing the clamshell. All right, another common fault in our squats is actually due from a mobility restriction. So a lot of us have really poor range of motion at getting our knees forward, which is called ankle dorsiflexion. So there's several stretches that you can do to help with this. I've linked one video below for a calf stretch that you can work on, which can help you gain more range of motion at the ankle and eventually help you keep more of an upright position while you squat. However, if you want a quick fix for this while you're working on your range of motion to help you keep a more upright posture, one thing you can do, like I've laid out here, are put 2 5-pound to 10-pound plates on the floor and then elevate your heel. This takes the mobility restriction at your ankle out of the equation. You'll notice a difference between my squat here and then when I step off, my torso would come forward when I squat. So it helps me keep a more upright posture, taking pressure off of my lumbar spine and allowing me to load into my quads a little bit more in that movement. This is called a heel elevated squat. Another fault of the squat that I've seen quite a bit with my clients, if you're looking straight at somebody while they're squatting and they go down and they shift their hips over to one side. So typically what's causing this is a mobility restriction at the hip where they can't externally rotate at their hips, allowing them to create the space necessary to have a nice symmetrical squat. So one of the common solutions that I've used with my clients to fix this is just grabbing a mini band like such, putting it around their feet, and then up at the knee right here, getting down into an athletic stance, driving out on one side, and then driving out on the other side, keeping their squat position, nice tall spinal position, and driving out, pause, and then control back in. You can get a tougher band to increase the difficulty, and try to get as much range of motion as you possibly can so you can build that mobility in order to get a nice symmetrical squat.